Hey guys, I'm Chelsea Dinan. Welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is related to solo travel, which is a topic that I talk about on my blog, and it's also something that I know a lot of people out there are starting to dabble in a little bit. So I figured I would share with you one of my personal experiences of many, but today I wanted to talk about my trip to New York City last year in 2015. I should preface this by saying that I traveled to New York City alone when I was 9 years old, so I guess I got a little bit of an early start. So going again when I was an adult was very different, obviously, because I am more aware now of what's going on around me, and obviously the world is a different place now than it was when I was 9 years old, unfortunately. So let's dive right in. I traveled to New York City last summer. Since I was living in DC at the time, it was very easy to just go ahead and take the train on up there. So I hopped on Amtrak. It was about a 4-hour ride given all the stops that you make along the way, and to be honest, I loved it. I loved it so much. I wish you could take the train anywhere. So on the trip up to New York City, I didn't have anybody sitting next to me actually for a good portion. I think all the way up until New Jersey, I didn't have anybody sitting next to me. So I made sure I could get a window seat so I could plug my computer in and do some work while I was on my way up to the Big Apple. Didn't have to sit in traffic because we all know traffic is a disaster on the way to New York. And it was easy, and again, it was cost efficient, so I highly recommend it. Once I got to New York City, I was staying in Chelsea, and so I took the train into Penn Station, and once I got to Penn Station, I decided that I was just going to walk all the way to my hotel. And not that it was that far, but I had a small carry-on suitcase with me, and you're walking through the streets of Manhattan, and it's crazy. So I mean, I would still do it again. I would still take my suitcase with me and walk the whole way instead of getting in a cab. I'm all for walking, and you will see that through this video and through my other video about New York City. I love to walk through Manhattan. So I got to my hotel. I was able to check in early because I touched base with them before, and my room was incredible. I was staying at one of those kind of boutique hotels, so it was artsy and fun, and the rooms were really small, like really small. Definitely the smallest hotel room I had ever stayed in before. But they redid the bathroom, and I had some windows that were looking out over 8th Avenue, and I just absolutely loved it. I was able to go up to the rooftop that had a view of the Empire State Building, and they had all these lights strung up on top, and it was just a dream. So now I should also say that the reason I was traveling to New York City was for Spirit Junkie Masterclass with Gabby Bernstein, which if you want to know more about, make sure you sign up for my email tribe, which I will link to below. If you're interested in going to Spirit Junkie Masterclass, I have several reviews on my website, and when you sign up for my email tribe, I will be sure to let you guys know when registration becomes available again so that you can go and have an amazing time in New York City, because it was just a ball. So I went there for Spirit Junkie Masterclass. I got there, I took the train up that morning. I made sure I got there around lunchtime so that I would have the whole afternoon to explore the city before I had to head over for Masterclass to begin. So I got there, checked in, I checked out the rooftop, and then I headed out to go get lunch. I went to this really cool vegetarian vegan cafe not too far away in Chelsea, and once I left there, I decided I was gonna walk to Washington Square Park. I explored the NYU campus a little bit and just kind of sat there and took it all in. I mean, New York City is such an exciting city, and I really like Washington Square Park because it is right there on the campus. So it's just a really cool vibe. There's just a lot going on. And there's also a lot of really cute places to check out around there, like Greenwich Village. Just go to Greenwich Village and walk all the streets, because that's what I did, and I fell in love. I've been in New York City a lot, I would say. It's one of those cities, since I am from DC, I have family not too far from Manhattan. I traveled up there quite a bit, but this trip, the one I'm talking about, kind of really opened my eyes to New York in a way I had never seen it before. It seems like so many of the other trips that I took to New York, except for the first one when I was 9, were mostly touristy. So I went to the Statue of Liberty, and I went to Ground Zero, and I went to Times Square and Rockefeller Center and saw all the sights. But this time around, I felt like I was almost kind of living in New York a little bit. I didn't have this strict agenda that I needed to stick to. I was staying right in Chelsea. I was walking everywhere. I was spending a lot of time on my own and journaling and listening to music. I would definitely recommend trying to pencil in some time into your schedule where you can just kind of hang out in a park or at Central Park. I mean, hello. That's what I did. And just really absorb all that the city has to offer, because there's truly no other city in the world like New York City. So on the nights after I was done with masterclass, I loved to also explore around my neighborhood. I went to Chelsea Market and some other vegan restaurants, because there are so many in New York, and some juice bars, and oh my gosh, there was just so much to do. I decided that on my last day I definitely wanted to explore the city some more since I didn't have masterclass, so I decided to take a later train back. So I woke up on that final morning, I arranged with the front desk to leave my luggage there so I could go explore, and I took the subway all the way up to Central Park. Now I will say this, when I was waiting for the train, it was a little bit confusing. I'm used to DC Metro, and so I was just trying to make sure that I was going to get on the right train. There were a lot of trains that came before it was finally the one I needed to be on. I never felt threatened, I never felt scared. Just be vigilant and be alert, and you guys already know that. But I made it up to Central Park without any issue and really just kind of meandered through Central Park. I stopped to buy some photographs that they were selling in Central Park that I wanted to take home as gifts. And again, I just kind of explored and I walked all over Central Park. And then finally I found one of those big boulders that they have in Central Park, and I climbed up on it. Oh, I had forgotten, that morning I went, before I hopped on Subway, and I got a bagel, an amazing bagel, because that's something that you have to do in New York City, right? So I climbed up on the boulder and I enjoyed my bagel, and I was listening to music and just reflecting on how powerful of a week I had had there in New York, and just how much I felt alive. I felt so alive in that city. There's something to be said about New York City. It brings you to life. It is the city that never sleeps. There's constantly noise and sirens and people, but where else can you really get that? I think the biggest things that I could recommend, again, I kind of grew up knowing New York a little bit. I kind of knew what to expect when it came to New York. And so I would say if you've never been in New York City and you're going for the first time and you're going alone, New York can be really intense. I think a lot of people probably get anxiety being in New York City. There's just a lot going on, and there's a lot of people everywhere you go. Now the plus side of that, this is one of the things that I love about traveling to New York City alone, is that I never felt alone. I feel like New York City is probably one of the best cities I've ever been to in terms of solo travel. And the reason for that is because of the busyness of New York City and how many people are everywhere. I just never really felt awkward when I was out and about doing things on my own, and I think that's because there just are so many people in New York, and there's so many people minding their own business, doing their own thing, like no one else is worried about you. Hope this video was helpful. If you guys have any questions about New York or traveling to New York on your own, then feel free to let me know. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel, that way you won't miss any of my videos, including the one that I will record in the future about my trip to New York City this year, which was amazing. If you liked this video, leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Many of us move to new cities in order to get ourselves completely out of our comfort zone, in order to completely challenge ourselves